Hey, I'm Matt Manny. Thanks so much for joining me for today's devotional thought. We are on day number 13. You're not alone when you're in obscurity. To be in a place that's kind of hidden and secluded, where we feel like nobody knows, nobody cares, and maybe that God has really kind of left us a little bit. In these seasons of uncertainty, we can find ourselves singing with Simon and Garfunkel, "Hello darkness, my old friend." So whether you're an older person, maybe a boomer, and you know Simon and Garfunkel, or if maybe you've got kids like myself who they know that song from Trolls animated movie, that sentiment of darkness and being our friend gives a sense of melancholy and distress, loneliness even, to kind of find ourselves that we're just lost a little bit in obscurity. Vince Lombardi once said this, that fatigue makes cowards of us all. What's interesting is that darkness and obscurity can suck the life out of us, the energy out of us. Just being alone and feeling like we're in a season where there's really no hope at times. Joseph spent seasons in obscurity, as we talked about, in the pit and the prison. Moses herded sheep on the backside of a desert for 40 years in obscurity. Gideon hid in a cave making moonshine while he was so fearful. And God says, "Rise up, mighty man of valor." And Gideon says, "Wait, who, me?" God says, "Yeah, you." Elijah spent a season by a brook where ravens brought him his DoorDash food every day for a season. David waited through years of oblivion before he took the throne. Darkness. The Word instills in us a sense of fear and mystery and wonder. It instills in us a sense of maybe anxiety or panic. But at times we can find that it's in darkness and it's in obscurity that God can do some of His best work. Amanda and I, we've been married for a few years, and we had a little guy, we had Malachi, and I can remember having this thought, we're going to go for a long walk and get some exercise as a family and get out, and I'm going to get my boy out in the fresh air. And so it just happened that as we were walking through our neighborhood, Amanda said, I actually have to run an errand, and let's go back home. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to just take Malachi, we're going to keep walking on this trail that leads out of our neighborhood area. And it actually was going to the store, to Target, where Amanda had to go pick up some stuff. So I said, listen, you go back home, get the car, go shop at Target, and by the time you get done shopping, Malachi and I will come strolling right on in, and we'll meet you right there. We'll get a little bit of extra exercise. Well, what I didn't realize and I'd forgotten was the distance from our neighborhood to Target, walking on that path through the woods at that time of day, was a lot longer than what I expected. And as the canopy of trees covered over and the sun began to set, boy, it started to get dark. And at one point, it got so dark, the sun totally went down, darkness was upon us, and between the stillness and the canopy of trees and the rustle of the leaves, it can kind of creep you out a little bit. And so I can remember I pulled out one of my old trusty techniques to help myself when I'm scared. I'd sing. And so I started singing as we're walking along this trail, and I'm thinking, well, hopefully it'll get us to the parking lot, get us to the backside of Target. And so finally we got there, and I remember thinking, hey buddy, are you doing okay? Are you scared? Because I'm not scared. You're scared, right? And so we finally got there, caught up with Amanda, and she said, how'd it go? I said, I'm never doing that ever again. But sometimes we can feel like that, and darkness can be so fearful. David wrote about darkness, about the lonely feelings of being lost in obscurity and darkness. He writes in Psalm 88 verse 18, he says, "You've taken away my companions and loved ones. Darkness is my closest friend." He goes on to say that I sit in darkness and deepest gloom, imprisoned in iron chains of misery in Psalm 107 verse 10. He says that God led them out of the darkness and deepest gloom. He snapped their chains. It's amazing to see that God can bring us out of those darkest times, out of that darkness for us. Are you in a season of darkness? That God's preparing you for a season of deliverance. Maybe you're in a season of obscurity where God is leading you, preparing you for a season of opportunity. Maybe you're in a season where you can't see clearly, but in time, everything's going to make sense. To find further encouragement, I'd encourage you to go to Psalm 139, verses 13 to 24, to further study what it means to find God's presence in our times of obscurity and darkness. Thanks so much for watching.